Hey, what's going on, sports fans? This is Sean with BoxingTheBasketball.com, here with my co-host Matthew Rayner. What's going on, Matthew? You look like 20 years younger. What did you do to yourself?
You know what, Sean? We had such a long break from doing the show, and I was so depressed and I needed to change something in my life. And so I shaved off my beard. That was my drastic change. But I've been told by some ladies in my life, they tell me, grow it back. You're not the kind of person that can rock without a beard. You need to grow it back as soon as possible.
Oh man, I tell you why I like the change. I like how it looks. Gives you that youthfulness. Look like you barely 19, 20 years old. Yep.
Man,
So Matthew, I don't know about you, man, but I have been missing our podcast, man. Dude, I was craving, but thankfully we're having games every day, man. So it's keeping me entertained.
and just for some background for folks, I'm from San Antonio, so the days that the Spurs have conflicted with the podcast, we've tried to move it around. And then Sean, I
Yep.
believe your daughter graduated last week, so
Yep.
we've had a
Uh-huh.
couple different things, but we're gonna try
Yep.
to get our normal schedule back.
Yeah, don't worry. We back, everybody. We're back. We're gonna be dropping those videos.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Matthew, matter of fact, let's start off by this one, Matthew. I'm sure you probably have the ticker up right now. Before I got everything set up, it looks like the Knicks are blowing out the Cleveland Cavaliers. What's the score right now? What's it looking like?
When I last checked, it was 61-37. Now it looks like it's 61-39. But either way, whether it's 22 points or 24 points, I feel like we all know where that series is going right now. It's going to sweep city, population, Cleveland. They just didn't have it. And Sean, I heard their coach talking about analytically, we've won 2 out of these 3 games. Well, hey man, this game ain't played with a calculator. This game is played on the basketball court. And so analytically, you might be up 3-0, but in the real series, you're down
Right.
0-3. You're about to be down a little. You're about to be down 4-0. You're about to lose. And now, but it's tough, Sean, because the Cleveland in the conference finals, it's a little disappointing because OKC and the Spurs has been a heavyweight showdown. Then over there, it's been like the Junior Olympics. So, it's like a free ride to the finals for New York.
Well, let me ask you this, Matthew. Let's start off topic number one with this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start off with this, right? You've heard me constantly say since the second round, right? There's 2 ways I want to approach this, and I want your opinion on both of them. The first approach is I always tell you over and over, Cleveland can only win when Jared Allen and Mobley play spectacular. They're 2 like 6'10", 6'11" guys. They're centers, power forwards that they can dominate. I truly believe they can dominate that paint anytime they want. And it really takes them to really dominate and play spectacular games every game in order for them to win. But the flip side of that, I don't hear nobody blaming Jared Allen or blaming Mobley. All that I hear them blaming is James Harden.
Uh-huh.
Is that a fair assessment? What's your take between those 2 scenarios and why they're not winning? Because it's not Spider. Spider's doing everything he's supposed to do.
And, I think Allen and Mobley are doing everything they're supposed to do on the defensive side. You don't necessarily want them, especially Allen. If Allen's your star offensive player, then something's gone wrong.
No,
Mobley's,
not star. I'm talking about dominating the paint down low.
Sure.
And putting it back up. Not star player, though.
Yeah. I think there's bits and pieces of that. But when you're a secondary star in Harden, I mean, the reason he's getting so much hate is just because his game, when it's good, when it's bad, it's just so loud. And he's having these loud bad games where he's missing all his threes or he's coughing that rock up 7-8 times. And, I don't know quite what it is because some people say, oh, people get nervous. They choke in the playoffs. They get butterflies. Like, you cannot convince me that James Harden's playing bad because he has butterflies. Like, I don't think he's before the game in the locker room, throwing up in the restroom stall out of nerves. I don't think he plays with effort. I think he plays with talent. He has a lot of talent. But come playoff time, when the margins are so tight and everybody's just as talented, I don't think he has the level of effort. I just don't think he's like stepping up in that way. And
Matthew, hold on.
yes.
What about this? Can I throw this in there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I want to throw a monkey wrench in what you're saying because I thought the same thing you thought, and we've talked about that in the same time, right? Matthew, nobody wants to bring this up. I'm going to bring it up.
Bring it up.
Is it possibility we're having another Terry Rozier type situation?
Oh.
I mean, can you rule it out? Can you rule it out? I mean, over and over and over and over again, Matthew, over and over and over.
And that's why I think you could rule something like that out, because I think we've seen this in his career at the biggest moments. I just don't think he cares enough to, like, he's happy being good. He's happy being famous. He's happy being rich. I don't think he puts in the work to get over the hump. And so, no, LaShawn, I don't think, I think that would be such a giant, enormous shock if a giant star like James Harden was on some Terry Rozier stuff. So I'm going to rule that out because, and I'm going to do it this, Sean, because he's consistently bad in the playoffs. He's bad all the time. And I just think there's a level of effort. There's a second gear that LeBron can get to, that Curry can get to, that my young king from San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama, can get to. And I just think Harden has never cared enough to work on his game to get to that level. He relies on talent. We know that. He's got a lot of it. And then he just lays eggs in the playoffs. But I refuse to believe it's because he's choking or because he's nervous. I think it's an effort thing. If anything, he doesn't care enough. I don't think he's nervous getting butterflies, but he's been really bad. And to answer your original question, I just think we can't focus on Mobley and Allen when your superstar, and I know he's their secondary star, but in terms of star power, he's probably the biggest star on the team, just in terms of fame. And when somebody's that famous and that good, they're going to get the most attention when they're playing bad, especially when their bad games are as loud as Harden's.
All right, Matthew, does he need to be traded?
Sean, does he? I think if it's Cleveland, they wouldn't want to trade him.
Why?
Because you did make it to the conference finals. You did have something, but he is such a, you know what I've been saying about this, Sean. Like, if you're
now, Matthew, let's go back to what you said a
Mm-hmm.
few episodes ago. We talked about the East Coast isn't as strong as the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, they made it to the playoffs, but is that really saying something in the East Coast?
Well, they didn't just make the playoffs.
If they were in the West, would they have made it?
They would have made the playoffs. They wouldn't have made the conference
so?
finals. They wouldn't have made the conference finals.
Okay.
But not only did they make the conference finals, they beat Detroit. They beat the 1 seed. I mean, objectively, if they weren't getting embarrassed so bad in this series, they've objectively had a pretty good year. They beat the 1 seed. They made it to the conference finals. Then they just embarrassed themselves in the conference finals. But the thing is, Sean, whether they want to trade Harden or not, and I've been saying it every episode, if you're going to win, you have to win this year because you never know with Harden. Harden might wake up one day and say the wind on the Ohio River is blowing to the east instead of the west. I want to trade. He's just so inconsistent with what he wants from a team. And we know that it pretty much ends bad with him on every single team he's on. So whether they want to trade him or not, I mean, Harden might wake up tomorrow and demand a trade. So I'd be surprised if that's a long-term project with Harden on the Cavaliers.
All right, well, let me ask you this, and before we move on to the next topic. If the Knicks, and it looks like they're going to do it, if they sweep tonight, are they the favorites to win the title, even against the OKC San Antonio winner? I mean, they're on fire, bro. They're on fire.
Man, they're on fire against the Eastern Conference. Man, if Mike Tyson right now got to fight, a bunch of lightweights, I mean, he would look like he was on fire. I mean, look, when you get to play those teams over there on the East Coast, it's a different thing, man. Like, your number 1 seed was the Pistons, who just got exposed as like a giant fraud that could barely beat Orlando. Here's the thing, Sean. When you watch OKC and the Spurs, you see a lot of flopping from OKC, but what you see generally is you see a heavyweight showdown between two talented teams. A lot of these games on the East Coast, on the Eastern Conference, you see one good team versus one overmatched team. And all 4 games of this series, Knicks versus Cavaliers, you've seen one good team, not great, against an overmatched team in the Cavaliers. So I know people say matchup-wise, the Knicks have some advantages over the Spurs, but I think whoever comes out of the Spurs versus Thunder, which I think we both know is going to be the San Antonio Spurs. No, we don't both know that, but I certainly hope that. I think they'll be a heavy favorite over the New York Knicks.
All right. Well, Matthew, let's do that. Let's switch over to topic number two.
Yeah.
The Spurs versus OKC, right? So Spurs was down 2-1, right? And I was watching Shaq, Dre Barkley, all them, the crew. ESPN talking about Shaq was like, man, when I put up 30, 35 points, we still lost. It wasn't enough. Wemby, we need to do more, right? And I was thinking, I guess he's right. You can put up good numbers, but you still got to push and get over that hump, because this is like you're in the finals, like the conference finals. You do have to do more than what you would normally do anytime else. But that wasn't what grabbed the headline. The headline, Matthew, was Popovich walked into the locker room when they were down 1-2 and says, "This is BS. That's not how we play basketball." Next game, Wemby drops 33 and hold AKC to 82. So my question is, Pop's 77, right?
Yes, sir.
Here's a question I want to bring up. Yes, I believe he motivated them and they needed that speech. And I know he's a staple. I know Popovich is a staple in the Spurs. That man can get anything he wants in San Antonio. But is there a point in time where he undermined Mitch Johnson's direction and how the team was going?
I don't think so yet. I mean, you run that risk, but when you see the shape Popovich is in, I mean, he's not like in coaching shape. He moves slow. You could see like real effects of the stroke. Now, if it was he retired under normal terms and he was still in coaching shape, I think there'd be a little element of what you're talking about. But when you see him out there and you see just what great effort it takes for him to even be there, I think it's more of a motivational thing where, and he hasn't been doing it all year. I think it's more of a, break glass in case of emergency. Like they've been holding that Popovich speech,
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't coming in at the All-Star break. He wasn't coming in the first round.
Right.
This is like the third round. You're down 2-1 to the defending champs. All right, let's bring the old guy in. Let's have him say something. Let's have him talk to the boys. Let's break that glass. So if it gets to a point where it's like, oh, Coach Pop, you're already back. You're giving us another speech. Then you start to wonder. But I think one well-timed speech, not only do I think it's not undermining Mitch Johnson, I think it's just what them boys needed, because it's tough. I mean, a lot of people don't know outside of San Antonio what he's going through, but if you saw how he moved around the city before and you see him now, I mean, it takes great effort for him to even walk and move around, and it looks like it takes great effort for him to talk ever since his stroke. Okay. So, I mean, I think if anything, it was very motivational for the players and for the staff, and maybe for Coach Mitch Johnson himself.
Okay. All right, now let's look at this. OKC, they were 8-0 in the playoffs before this. I think so. They didn't lose, 8-0. Right? Yes, yeah. They were 8-0 in the playoffs before this series. Now they're 2-2. Are the defending champs cooked, or does home court in Game 5 save them?
Hey, they're not cooked, man, but Game 5 is going to be a showdown. Game 5 is going to be, and I don't think home court saves them, because San Antonio had a great game in Game 1 and beat them at OKC.
But that was double overtime, though. They barely pulled that off.
But San Antonio was winning that whole game. If anything, OKC came back to save, get it to overtime, but I don't think the Spurs are scared of OKC in the Paycom Center. In OKC, the Paycom Center is on a fake Riverwalk. The Spurs come from a land that has a real Riverwalk. These are the little nuances. OKC is not even like it's in terms of a home court advantage. I heard that crowd pop more during the Russ KD era than I hear it pop even now when they're the champion. So it's a good advantage, but Wemby is one of the most level-headed stars we've ever seen in the game. He's not going to be fazed by some Oklahoma, some country Oklahoma, home court fans yelling at him. Like he'll be okay with that. They might get to Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant might.
Man,
he might not like the yelling.
Let me tell you something about Carter Bryant, man. I joke and play with my wife all the time. We watch the game. I said, Tanya, I said they got this 14-year-old kid out there again. And but listen, and my wife always asks, why is he out there? He's messing up. I said, yeah, I said, but he's messing up when they're up like 20, 25, right? They're trying to build up his confidence. Give him like a minute. And he only plays like a minute or two, right? He does get blown by SGA a lot. He is making some rookie mistakes. He get yelled at. But bro, I love the leadership. No matter how bad they get on him, Wemby is right there. Bro, don't worry about it. You're gonna get it. Just keep working hard. We believe in you, man. Bro, when I saw that, to me, that is what you call MVP.
Mm-hmm. That's what we call WMVP. And you know what, man? Here's what I'll say about Carter Bryant. He is adorable. This is an adorable little fella, man. And he was sad when coach yelled at him, and you could see it in his face how sad he was. I am really
but Matthew, also put yourself in that position, man. I mean, bro, that's a lot of pressure to put a young kid like that in, man.
And I love that. I love that after coach yelled at him, he left him in the game. Because he said, he said, all right.
No,
all right,
that last time he did. Every other time he pulled him out. But that last time he left him in. But they were up like 25 at the time.
Man, I like that up 20 because it's like, all right, come here, young fella. I'm going to chew you out a little bit, but you're going to get back out there. We're going to tap you on the back and we're going to put you back out there. And so I think Carter Bryant is learning some valuable lessons this series.
Yes.
I think Wemby's a great leader. I think, Mitch Johnson had to follow maybe the greatest coach of all time, but definitely one of the top 3 greatest coaches of all time. And I think he's really like showing what he's got. I think he's, he was Greg Popovich's understudy for a few years. He was the assistant for Popovich, and he's been with the organization for a long time. So, I mean, I think he picked up a lot of the best stuff from Popovich. But you got to remember, Popovich was getting up there in years where I don't think he related to the players like that. And, Mitch Johnson was an NCAA basketball player. I mean, he was playing hoop like less than 20 years ago. So I think, he's probably more in touch with what the players are thinking than Popovich was. But also, he's, Popovich passed down some of that leadership, some of that gravitas, if you will. And I really like what's going on in San Antonio. And to answer your original question, everyone knows I'm a Spurs fan. I think we've got a great shot in Game 5. Hey, and don't let us get Game 5, because if you get Game 5, we're coming right back here to San Antonio in Game 6. And I know them boys on Military Street and Commerce Street, they're ready to honk them horns and make a fool out of themselves. So don't let us get a closeout game at home, because we taking that.
Right. And Matthew, on top of that, I don't know if you noticed the transition, the change they made when they went down 1-2. I don't know if you saw that stat. The OKC bench in Game 3, the OKC bench had 49% of the points. The bench had 51% of the points, and it looks like they went back and studied the film and realized, bro, the reason why the bench scored 51 because we're double and triple team at SGA. And he kicked it out, and the bench was killing it, knocking down shots. But this time, if you notice, Game 4, when they tied it up 2-2, they just went one-on-one with SGA and let the chips fall where it may, because it was the bench that killed the Spurs in Game 3.
You know what, Sean? It's such a good point, and they were guarding him one-on-one. And I think based on the success in Game 4, I know you have to try different things, and maybe if it's a 7-game series, you're not going one-on-one with SGA the whole time. But I think you give it one more game, because Castle, for all the negative talk Castle's had to hear this whole series, and I am so glad De'Aaron Fox is back, because I love him as our primary ball handler. I feel like he's gotten so much hate this year just because he's got Harper nipping at his heels for that starting spot. But he really held it down and stabilized this team. But anyway, get back to my original point. Castle, man, he guarded FTA, like a junkyard dog. And SGA could not get any space. And you know what? After the first quarter, because the refs blew the whistle on a couple flops in the first quarter, I think it's in the refs' head, because the refs watch TV, the refs hear the radio. I mean, we're refs in a different sport. We know what it's like. I think they're hearing everybody talk about how, oh, this guy SGA and his flopping and flopping's ruining basketball. I think it's gotten in their head. And nobody this time of the year that's tuning in, because you got to remember, conference finals and finals, there's people that aren't basketball fans that are tuning in. There's casual sports fans. There's people from Oklahoma and San Antonio that don't typically watch basketball that are tuned in. Nobody's here to watch a free throw shooting contest, Sean. And I think the refs are internalizing that. And they didn't call many of the flop fouls in game 4. Nope. So if the refs are going to swallow the whistle, and if SGA is going to be guarded like a junkyard dog by Steph Castle, I think if you're the Spurs, seeing how that worked for you in game 4, I'm not saying do it the rest of the series, but I think until they prove different, you run out that same one-on-one defense in game 5.
Right, absolutely. Okay, all right. Let's move over to topic number 3. I asked you this before, and we talked about it, right? And I was like, man, why does Wemby hold this grudge against Chet Holmgren, right? But then I saw the post the other day explain everything, and they said, "You ever wonder why Wembanyama goes so hard at Chet?" The villain origin story. What happened was in 2021. France faced Team USA in the U19 or under 19 World Cup final, and the U.S. barely escaped with a 2-point win. And Chet Holmgren claimed a tournament MVP. And ever since, Wemby's been coming at Chet and OKC.
Man, we all know that story in San Antonio, man. Anytime, and you remember, the Spurs went 4-1 against OKC in the regular season, but Wemby loves guarding Chet. He loves blocking him and yelling in his face. When he misses a free throw, Wemby yells out to the heavens like he just won the game. I mean, for whatever reason, man, he loves clowning on Chet. And Chet tries to hide because Chet knows he's not going ball for ball with Wemby. You know, like he's not – if Wemby's putting up 30, Chet don't have a 30 ball to answer him with. And so I think Chet in those moments with Wemby starts to shrink. And the proof's in the pudding. Wemby, 33 points, however many rebounds, however many assists, however many blocks. I know it's a lot of all of them. He's going to get a quadruple-double at some point. But he's filling up the stat sheet. What does Chet do? 10-8. Wemby making miraculous half-court shots. What does Chet do? He's just offensive rebounding, cleaning up the glass, like really not creating any offense for himself.
But is that because he got somebody like SGA that's controlling the whole offense? He can't get it unless SGA includes him in these plays, like how De'Aaron Fox or Stephon Castle does with Wemby.
SGA needs Chet to get his own shot sometimes because SGA is tired. You got to think about this. Game 4, they didn't have J-Dub and they didn't have AJ Mitchell. And everything, J-Dub is Jalen Williams is universally known as their second best player, but AJ Mitchell is arguably their third or fourth best offensive player. So all of his secondary scorers he doesn't have. So he would love to have a talented big man that he could throw it down to the low block to and say, "Go get you a bucket, big fella." But Chet shrinks every time he plays Wemby, and really all he's getting. All his shot, okay, if you took out these points, he would be averaging very little points for the series. All the points he's getting this series, let me tell you this, Sean. Wemby blocks a shot and falls to the ground or moves himself out of the play. Then Chet happens to get the offensive rebound and get the block shot and put it back up. He's gotten so many cheap points off that this series, but he's really not creating anything for himself. So it's like it's hard to call Chet versus Wemby a rivalry because Wemby is sinking half-court shots and looking as if he knew the shot was going to go in every single step of the way with the utmost confidence. He's got to work on his celebrations a little, though. His celebrations are a little clunky after he missed some of those shots. So he's got to talk to maybe like LeBron or Curry about getting some more aura on his celebrations. But other than that, beautiful. And then Chet, on the other hand, can't even, score within 12 feet of the bucket. So there's no rivalry there. At some point, Wemby, his rivals are SGA. His rivals are Jokic. His rivals are Ant-Man. He ain't no rival with Chet Holmgren. Come on, Sean.
Right. I was going to ask you also dealing with that. before we switch topics, right,
Mm-hmm.
bro? When I was looking at the MVP, and of course we know they gave it to SGA, right?
Mm-hmm.
But man, Matthew, I was sure that
Mm-hmm. Here we
Wemby
go.
was going to be second place, and they gave it to Joker. Is that merited? So let's take away they didn't
No.
make it. Let's take away they didn't make it to the the Western Conference Finals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Joker should have been above Wemby?
Absolutely not. And I'm so tired of these basketball dorks, man. I'm so tired of these guys that write for like The Ringer or any of those Bill Simmons podcasts or just any of these guys that watch basketball with calculators because
Yeah,
they're all just obsessed with Jokic and they're obsessed with his analytics. And honestly, I think there's a little bit of they're obsessed with having a good white guy that plays the game a little different.
uh huh,
I think that's a real
yeah,
thing. And
okay,
it's it's just patently absurd that
right.
Jokic on this team that just underachieved all year, one, that they underachieved all year, and two, Jokic doesn't play defense at all. So Wemby is like this generational defensive talent in his third year, hasn't even peaked yet, and still giving you 25 on offense, still giving you miracle 3-pointers, still closing games for you, still giving you game-winning shots,
Yeah,
and not even fully developed, then
right,
playing defense at a higher level than maybe anybody since like
yeah,
Hakeem or even before that, since
right.
like Wes Unseld, like
That's true.
he's playing generational defense and you give it to this traffic cone on defense. And honestly, with Jokic and all his complaining, like
Yeah,
I think he's losing the plot. And
right.
the idea that he got second, it just tells me there's way too many people voting that are watching basketball with calculators in their hand. And I honestly found I got a Spurs hat on my head, so I shouldn't even speak on this subject, but I found it so disgraceful that Jokic was ahead of Wemby in MVP voting.
Got you. Okay. All right. So let's move on to topic. What's this, number four?
Number
Yeah, yeah.
4.
Yeah, topic number four. So I saw an interview the other day with Mark Cuban,
Mm-hmm.
and he's talking about the way these NBA contracts are going. He said you're going to see 100 million a year here shortly when it comes to a contract. He said if the TV contract has just a 10% increase in the cap, the way the CBA works, he's like you saw Steph Curry had a 62 million for 1 year. He said it's even going to get crazier. And I think that was August 2020. Yeah, August 2024. Steph signed just a 1 year, 62.6 million contract, making him the highest paid player ever. So with that being said, do you see first of all, do you see $100 million contracts coming soon? And is that just totally ridiculous for one person to make that as an athlete?
I mean, it's everything in the world. Like for me to even answer this, I feel like we'd have to start getting into some politics outside of basketball. But like, I mean, the rich are getting richer right now. We about to start seeing trillionaires. I mean, the gap between the 1% and the rest of us has never been
And
higher.
and let me throw this in there also. Hold on, let me throw this in there also.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, because of injuries, he only played 50 games last year. 62 million and only played 50 games. Bro, there's got to be some type of stipulations or something in there, right?
I mean, if the owners are making money off the team and the owners don't do anything, the front office doesn't do anything. It's the players that put butts in the seats. It's the players that bring people into the arenas every week. It's the players people buy the posters of, buy the jerseys of. So it's a complicated issue, but I'd rather have the players making exorbitant contracts than the owners pocketing that. Like that's for sure. I mean, the players are the ones that put the people in the stands. So in that sense, I'm pro owners having to pay more if the teams are worth that much. But it's just getting sickening, man. Like, there's people watching these games that can't afford to go to the games,
Right.
that they're choosing between
Because yeah, you said that before how hard it is to get tickets now because they're astronomical. And Matthew, honestly, I know you're saying it from a standpoint, your athlete get what you can get, right? But that
Mhm.
hurts us, the consumer, to even go into the games. And Let me throw this out there. Mark Cuban also said it's plausible by 2030 we're going to see $1 billion contracts. He said, I predict by 2030 or somewhere around there, you're going to see a 7-year max, 140 million plus a year. Bruh, can you even fathom that $1 billion contract 7 year? That's it's just ridiculous. And like you said, it's going to hurt us as consumers to want to go watch these games. And you see how they're complaining about Charles Barkley the other day. Do I watch on Amazon Prime today? Do I watch it on Peacock? Do I watch it on ESPN? I'm spending close to $100 on 3 or 4 streaming services. If you think they're going to start handing out $1 billion contracts, can you imagine how much it's going to cost us to stream each one?
I mean, it's all a big ripoff right now. The fact that like some of these games come on NBC, but then they don't come on NBC, and I got to order Peacock to get it. I mean, it's all a giant ripoff. It's all rigged against us. It's all set up against us. But if the teams are actually worth that much money, then I support that money going to the players and sitting in the owners' pockets, or I support maybe lowering some costs for us to get in the stadium because, you know, for a lot of us, that's a car payment like that we're going to miss if we try to go to one of these games. And so when we got to hear about some of these franchises worth however many billion, and we hear about these, like we hear about the players, you know, that are just getting their money, but, you know, $62 million contract. And for us, you know, if for some of us, if we try to go to the game, it might be half our paycheck. And so it's definitely something that I'll be following. And when you hear those numbers, the sticker shock on those numbers is crazy on some of those big contracts. But at the same time, and I'll just keep saying it, if that's money that would otherwise be made on the players' backs, then just sit in the owners' pockets, then yeah, send that back to the players. But there's definitely some sticker shock, and at some point there's going to be a backlash.
Right. Got you. Okay. All right. Let's take a quick turn over to topic number 5. We're going to switch over a little bit to the WNBA right now. And Angel Reese was making headlines the other day. So in a post that was put up the other day, Angel Reese was asked about A'ja Wilson. And she couldn't have said this at the more worst time ever. This was May 17th. This was about a week ago, right? And Angel Reese said, oh, yeah, she's obviously a great player, but I know I'm a great player too. But A'ja Wilson, what people don't realize, she proceeds to drop an efficient 20, and Angel Reese goes 1 for 8 and commits 8 turnovers. Matter of fact, her stat line was 9 points, 8 rebounds, 1 for 8 for field goals, 0 for 1 from 3, 8 turnovers, minus 13 in efficiency in 29 minutes. And I know we're just 3 games in, right? But Angel Reese now leads the entire WNBA in turnovers through 3 games with the Dream. She lost a shoe during one of her 6 missed layups. We're not talking about shots, 6 missed layups. Do you blame the people for ripping her?
I mean, Sean, there is no world where she should compare herself to A'ja Wilson. I mean, A'ja Wilson is far and away the best player in the WNBA, putting the WNBA on the map. Like a couple years ago when Caitlin Clark, you know, turned some eyeballs to the WNBA, I think everybody quickly realized, oh, yeah, Caitlin's great, but A'ja Wilson is far and away like the best player in this league. And when you look at how just unadvanced, basic, like Angel Reese's offensive game is, and I'm looking at that quote because I had to make sure it was real, because it's almost unbelievable to say, I know she's a great player, but I'm a great player. And too, like, arguably, Angel's not a great player. I mean, she was a great college player, like for sure. But she is not in the same stratosphere as A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson right now is averaging 25 points and 7 rebounds on 55% shooting, and somehow shooting 62% from 3. That number is going to go down a little bit. Yeah. Angel Reese, it's just more of the same this season from her. I mean, it's just more of missing shots, getting some rebounds, missing shots, getting some rebounds. Like I've watched like maybe 2 or 3 of her games this season, and it's just like, it's like nothing. It's like there's been no evolution from year 1, and there looked like there was going to be some evolution in year 2. It looked like, she was making a mid-range shot more. It looked like at least, she was being assertive, confident. Her field goal percentages went up. But this year, it looks like she's right back to where she was. And if you look at the numbers, she's getting a lot of rebounds, or what we call on the offensive side, those me bounds, when she's just getting 4 or 5, they're just going right back to her. But just being a post player, just like getting all her shots inside, she's shooting 40% from the field. And you got to think, Sean, all of her shots are coming right next to the basket. Asia Wilson is shooting 55% from the field, 50 for her career, while expanding her game to the outside. Because I remember when Asia Wilson came in the league, she didn't shoot three. She was more of a post player. So she had to develop an outside shot. How do you develop an outside shot, Sean? You work, you get in the gym. Like the 3-point revolution for the WNBA happened mid-career for Asia Wilson. And she worked hard enough to overcome that. So it's like, when you have a player that actually puts in the work to be greater and greater and greater versus a player like Angel Reese, who's good, but instead of actually putting in the work to be greater, will just give a gratuitous quote during a press conference saying, oh, well, I'm great too. I'm also great. No, you're good, but you are not great on the level of Asia Wilson. And when you say that, it's mind-blowing, because there's so many hours in the gym probably for Asia Wilson that we don't see, where she had to develop that outside game mid-career, where she had developed this and that to be a 25 points per game person. And for 10 points, 10 rebounds, Angel Reese to say, oh, well, I'm a great player too. No, I mean, it's a little tone deaf, but given quotes she's given in the past in her career, that's actually a little bit tame. So, she's probably just trying to be confident ahead of the matchup. But, some people talk about it. Some people be about it. And, Asia Wilson is, definitely one of them ones. And you follow their careers, you'll see what happens. You don't even have to listen to the press clippings or who said what. I mean, you just watch Asia Wilson play basketball, then watch Angel Reese play basketball, and you tell me who's a great player.
Right, exactly. All right, we're going to end it. I got one more quick topic for you. I know we're a little late on this, but I still want to cover it. The Jaylen Brown versus Stephen A. Smith. I know you've seen it and how it's been trending everywhere. So Brown, one of the things people got upset with Jaylen Brown, right? Jaylen Brown came out and said, they lost. They blew a 3-1 lead. Remember that? Remember Jaylen Brown then blew a 3-1 lead? And he called it his favorite season ever. And everybody's like, what? They're like, are you delusional? And Stephen A. Smith roasted him about it. Like, how do you call this your favorite season and y'all blew a 3-1 lead? And pretty much everybody was in agreement. Like, bro, what is wrong with you? Is it about the money right now? You just don't, care about it? Is it your favorite season because it's the most you made? But let's be honest. If you saw it, Jaylen Brown has some choice words for Stephen A. Smith. Tells him to retire because he's the face of clickbait media and stuff like that. But Stephen A. Smith fired right back. Said, Jaylen Brown, be careful what you wish for. You really want me to start reporting on that level? What the locker room thinks about you? How the organization might feel about you? How Jason Tatum may or may not feel about you? The sneaker deals that you could have had that they didn't want to deal with you? The endorsement deals they didn't want to deal with you? So, it was getting hotted back and forth. It even got to the point at the end that Jaylen Brown challenged Stephen A. Smith to a live debate at either Harvard or MIT. He said, I want to have mainstream traditional media versus the athlete. He even went on to say that the viral quote the other day was, come on, Stephen A., what you El Chapo? You running a media cartel, my boy? What do you think about these athletes like Draymond and him that's doing these podcasts and trying to go at the traditional media? I know you don't like some of the things they say about you. They're reporting on you. Whether they ever played basketball before or not. That's what journalists do. You don't have to play a certain sport to be a journalist and talk about it. I think sometimes the athletes get into their feelings.
Man, They're both in their feelings, but Jalen's definitely his feelings. And I think what you got there is a case of two enormous egos. And we know Stephen
Okay.
A's got an enormous ego. And Jalen Brown, man, I really think he's like the 2026 version of Kyrie, where, I mean, he's just, I think he just thinks he's the smartest person in the room. And when you always
Mm,
think you're the smartest person in the room and you don't think you have faults, you don't think you could say things that are misplaced, it's just dangerous because you're so self-assured about your rightness on everything, and he speaks like somebody that's very self-assured about his rightness on everything. Like, I mean, he challenged Stephen A to a debate at MIT or Harvard. Like, man, no one at MIT is trying to watch a debate between Stephen A and Jalen Brown. And so I just think I've always felt this way, Jalen Brown, and it was his favorite season because he got to be the star all year. So I mean, of course, it
right.
was his favorite season because his running buddy Tatum wasn't there.
Right.
But I imagine, even though Stephen A is just talking mess, I imagine that if you actually got into the reporting of like the Boston Celtics staff, the Boston Celtics media,
Uh-huh.
which I've definitely
Right.
seen Jalen Brown be standoffish with,
Uh-huh.
his fellow teammates, I think you would find there's like a lot of people that are maybe a little bit tired of
Oh
Jalen's
wow.
ego. I
Mm.
think Stephen A is probably right about that, but I mean, you want to talk about the pot calling the kettle black, like when it comes to ego and bad reputation. I mean, all of Stephen
Uh-huh.
A's colleagues, like after they leave, whether it's Max Kellerman or whoever, talk about, oh, like, Stephen A runs a tight ship and this is his organization and he runs it how he wants and he doesn't like dissent. So a lot of this is so uninteresting to me because these shows like First Take, I mean, Jalen Brown is not wrong about. They are just designed to rile us up in the most like inappropriate ways, the ways our brains weren't even designed to be riled up, especially every day at 9 or 10 in the morning. Like we got to start hating our favorite basketball player, hating our favorite football player. So I've always like hated the design of these shows. I just think Jalen Brown's a little bit of a flawed messenger because every opportunity with him I see when he's interviewed about something like this, he has a pretty enormous ego himself. So I think these guys
Sure.
maybe look in a mirror and they see parts of themselves that they don't like when they're barking at each other.
Right, right. Got you. Okay. All right. Listen, the athletes have a voice now. They're getting in the podcast. And here's the crazy thing, Matthew. I know and you know they definitely are not doing this podcast because they need money. You know why
Mm-mm.
they doing it? Because they want to control their own narrative.
Hear
You're
themselves
saying
talk.
this, yeah, but I think you're saying this about me, but I got a voice and I'm gonna tell you what the real deal is. They don't want to be portrayed in a certain light. They want to control what the media thinks and sees about them.
And I think, some of them do better than others. You take someone like Paul George, who has his podcast, but has pretty like sensible, like reasonable takes. And like, it's just, when you hear it, it's just like good stuff to listen to about basketball. It's just like smart, high level basketball talk where, yeah, you can hear him talk about something about his career where it sounds like he's justifying himself. But for the most part, it's just high level basketball talk. Whereas you take Draymond, that's probably the middle. That's probably a little bit of Jalen Brown, a little bit of Paul George. But then you
Uh
go
huh.
over to the Jalen Brown side, and at that point, it's all just self gratification. I think if you're listening to a Jalen Brown Twitch stream, it's all him being gratifying and self congratulatory to himself. So
Got you.
I think he should log off of Twitch maybe.
All right, there you have it. All right, well, Matthew, man, I appreciate you coming back on, man, and I'm glad the fans are back with us. And I promise you, God willing, man, we should be back Thursday at 8 o'clock. I don't see why we shouldn't be, and we're gonna have fun. And by that time, listen, the way it's going right now, we're looking at the Knicks waiting on a winner between OKC and the Spurs. And I think that's going to be good for the Knicks because they're going to have, more days off than everybody else. So that's going to good for them. They're going to get the rest. Man, if OKC and Spurs go 7, it's brutal on the body. But it is what it is. But needless to say, look at Matthew. He thinks Spurs are going to win the whole thing. We'll see if that happens. Matthew, what do you want to say to the fans in closing?
I want to say tomorrow, game 5. I think it's going to be huge. I think OKC is going to be the favorite, but I think the Spurs, no, they got to go get this one if they want to win the series. So I hope everybody's tuned into Game 5 tomorrow, and I am not being objective. Go Spurs, go.
All right, there you have it. Till next time, me and Matthew, we signing out.